Hi, this is Jonathan Best coming at you from the Boulder Vapor House on the hill in Boulder, Colorado. And I'm excited to share with you this, our very first flavor battle between two high-end juice flavors we offer here at Boulder Vapor House to try and bring a little bit of insight to you, the vaping consumer. In this very first battle review, we're going to take a look at one of the most sought after and one of the most commonly recreated flavor profiles, peaches and cream. And we're going to pit two high-end juices against one another to try and find out whether or not one of these two juices comes out on top. Tonight we're going to be taking a look at Jameson's Peaches and Cream, a high-end juice that's sought after not only because of its manufacturing quality, but also because of its very clever flavor blending. But we're also going to be taking a look at a Space Jam juice called Omega that is their entry into the world of peaches and cream. Now, before we talk about the juices, let's talk about what one might want to expect from a peaches and cream juice. When we think about it, there's not a whole lot of times that most of us are actually going to search after a fresh peach and fresh cream. In fact, you'd probably be a little bit hard-pressed to actually think about the last time that you actually ate that kind of dessert. Instead, we find peaches and cream most commonly in things like ice creams and yogurts, sometimes in gummy candies or other kinds of confections. So we know going into this juice battle that what we're expecting is more than likely a play on that idea, on a food based on peaches and cream. I was really surprised to find out that both of these juices play both ends of that spectrum really well. Both the recreation of the actual food stuff, but also an interpretation of those candies and confections that we all appreciate. Before we get into these actual juices, I want to tell you right now that I vaped both of these juices on 3 different kinds of atomizers. Not only a clearomizer, in this case, a Pro Tank 2, but also in a single coil as well as a dual coil dripping atomizer. Both these juices were reviewed in a 12 milligram strength. So let's talk about the actual juices themselves. I knew going into experiencing this Jameson's juice that I was going to have a great experience. After all, you really can't pick up one of these small brown bottles and have a bad time. In fact, when I opened the bottle for the first time, I noticed that I didn't exactly smell the kinds of things I would expect to smell from a candy or a confection-flavored dessert-type vape. Instead, I got these notes of really intense natural fruit, but also this underlying quality of the creaminess that I was really excited for. So when I popped open this bottle and I put it into a Pro Tank, I noticed that the flavor was a little bit muted. So I did my favorite thing in the world, which is put this into a dripping atomizer. And I have to tell you, this juice came alive with big, thick, and heavy clouds that tell me that this obviously VG heavy juice delivers a massive punch of flavor that I didn't really expect. I definitely got a lot of those natural and warm, sweet tones that you would expect from a juicy peach, from a ripe peach. That is a combination of not just the sweet, not just the element of the fruit, but also I could almost taste the skin. I could taste the plant that was a part of it. And the cream element was not a whipped cream, as one might expect, but actually more of a straight sweet dairy flavor, where it brought out a lot of those subtle dairy sweet notes that are also slightly on the protein and fatty side of the flavors. And it came alive in those single drip atomizers. I knew from the moment I stopped dripping that I had a really intense juice on my hands. In fact, I knew that this Space Jam juice, Omega, was going to have a hard time living up to it. And I can tell you this, from having vaped nearly the entire line of Jamesons and the entire line of Space Jam, I was really pleasantly surprised with this combination, this particular battle. And I was anxious to see if I could determine whether or not one was better than the other. So I cracked open the Space Jam bottle, and I noticed it was a very viscous juice, very thick juice as well. And when I brought it to the nose, I didn't get the same sort of natural fruit flavor that the Jamesons offered, but instead, it wasn't just eerily reminiscent. It seemed to almost recreate a flavor that I remember from when I was a little kid. When I was in middle school, my French teacher used to sell as part of a fundraising opportunity these Haribo candies that I will never be able to get the taste of those out of my mouth. There's a certain sense memory attached to them. And nearly instantly, when I opened up that bottle, I thought of being in 7th grade French class, eating those candies in the back, forgetting every single word of French that ever went in one ear and obviously out the other. So, from an olfactory sense alone, I was really curious about that Space Jam juice. I didn't get this overwhelming sense of fruit. I didn't get an overwhelming sense of cream, but I got almost an interpretation on one of my favorite candies. So when I put this juice into not only my Clearomizer, but into my drips as well, I was taken so completely by surprise. I gotta say, because of its ability to recreate those peach rings, to recreate not just the sweetness of a peach, but sometimes the slightly acidic quality of a little bit of an overripe peach, with a creaminess that tasted like whipped cream. It tasted fluffy. I gotta say that on this occasion, this important occasion of our very first juice battle, what I thought was going to be a pretty tough decision in terms of my personal preference, it's actually a pretty easy one. Next time I go to the shop, next time I come to Boulder Vapor House, and I need to select a peaches and cream vape for a friend, I know that I could easily pick up one of these two bottles, and they'd be happy. But, more importantly, I know that if I were to pick up a bottle of Space Jam's Omega and hand that to a friend, I would give them the kind of experience that hopefully made them remember what it was like to eat those candies. And really, when it comes down to it, one of the reasons why we choose these kinds of vapes is not because we want an exact recreation of that natural food. After all, we would just go and eat peaches and cream. Instead, we want an interpretation. And I can tell you right now, Space Jam's Omega is a brilliant interpretation of this flavor profile. It gives me everything I want in the fruit, but it gives me a different kind of creaminess, a more robust creaminess that actually was able to stand out on its own. So instead of being a peach flavor with a hint of cream, which is what I got from the Jameson's juice, instead that creaminess was balanced right there with that fruit flavor, and I couldn't have been happier. So thank you so much for joining us tonight here at the Boulder Vapor House for our very first juice battle review. And I can say that as an independent reviewer, I would probably end up going with the Space Jam's Omega. But if you try either one of these juices, I'm sure you're going to have the same great experience that I had when I tried them out for the first time. So thanks for joining us. You can find us online at bouldervaporhouse.com or at facebook.com/bouldervaporhouse. Email us with any questions, future review ideas, or suggestions that you might have, and I look forward to hearing your ideas. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, here at the Boulder Vapor House, we don't just blow clouds, we blow minds. Thanks for chasing the flavor with us. Good night.